Yeah.
I want to transition real quick. I
Mhm.
know you typically do mic checks on your Instagram page. So we're going to do a mini mic check. I'm going to give you 3 people. I just want
Mhm.
I just want you to give a mic check for them, whether it's
Okay.
a constructive criticism, whether it's a word of encouragement, advice to move on in life. Number
Mhm.
1, give me a mic check for Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders. Okay, my mic check for Shedeur Sanders would be motivated. I'm motivated in life, man. There have been plenty of times in my life where I've been disappointed, where I've been overlooked, where I've been misjudged, when people are confusing my talents. What I've done with that is I've been able to take that in and not be bitter about it, not be upset about it so much, not to prove them wrong, but to, like he said, to prove myself right, to know that what I am out here, I'm worth being out here for, that I am somebody that's special, that you mistook me and that you misjudged me. In life, you go through things all the time where people will see you and they, what glitter sometimes could be trash to some people. What could be trash sometimes could be gold to some people. And I think in life, when you are misjudged and you know that you're golden and they look at you as trash or look at you as less than, it's what you feel like what's on the inside of you. How do you feel about yourself? Proving yourself right, knowing that you have to, okay, this is how they see me. This is where I need to take myself to the next level. One day, eventually, they're going to appreciate me, even if they don't respect me, right? And I don't need their respect because I know deep down inside, God has given me the ability to do everything I need to do in life. It's happened to me so many times in this profession, man. No matter what I've done to accomplish, winning Emmy Awards, or being on the national network stage or whatever, or being at a certain network and being within the confines of the network, there have been people along the way that have doubted me. And has it stung sometimes? Absolutely. But at the same time, when I have the mindset like, okay, well, I'm thankful for that because every opportunity that you get ain't a great opportunity. And sometimes the rejection is for your protection. So if you look at this situation, maybe if you would have been a first or second round pick or whatnot, maybe there would have been more pressure. Maybe there would have been more criticism. He would have gone to the wrong team. It could have been a wrong coach, wrong situation. But God don't make mistakes. So where he put you is where you need to be. So I always say, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm exactly where I need to be right now, and I'm gonna make the most of it.
There you go. There you go. Man, that was heavy.
Yeah.
Let me get a mic check for, let's go Angel Reese.
Angel Reese, hang in there, sister. And it's like I hate that there's a part of society that she's got caught up her basketball skills. Even though she's a huge asset to the league, even though she's one of the biggest names in the league, even though she's making great money endorsing or whatever, as a Black woman, she is taking on the brunt. I always say that sports is a microcosm of society, right? And I believe that with her, the racism and how Black women are treated in society from other people in society that don't look like us, and even some of the men on our side who look like us. Sometimes Black women, like Malcolm X says, the most neglected, the least protected species on the face of the earth. And we got to do a better job of that. But she's a strong Black woman who's doing her thing. Just a woman, period, man. So hang in there. Despite all the criticism, despite, just know that people have your back at the end of the day. I hate that people are using both she and Caitlin Clark as this big political statement to be made about what's going on in the world, especially on the Caitlin Clark side. And I've made mention of this all the time. I talk about this. I just mentioned this on X. Then I think Angel Reese overreacted a little bit from the flat foul. It's basketball. We've seen it happen. Getting up and getting in her face is one thing. To continue to do it afterwards, that was the overreaction. When people were holding her back or whatever, okay, it's a foul. All right, we can talk it all. We can hit her back later in the game or whatever, whatnot. That's where the overreaction came. Did I also think that people online overreacted to her reaction? Absolutely. And they only overreacted because they saw Angel Reese going after the darling of the WNBA. And you know the darling I'm talking about, the white lady that everybody loves to hate or loves to put on a pedestal. And then all these people that are out there, these so-called Caitlin Clark fans. I'm not saying all of her fans because the majority of her fans love her for her basketball skill. But there's a select few of people that are out there right now that are using Caitlin Clark's name to weaponize their racism. And that's been wrong. And it's been happening over the last 2 years. I pray that we get to a point where it all stops. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I'm happy that Caitlyn is actually coming out and speaking out against that, because if you don't want that type of support behind you, you need to speak out against it. Because if you don't, then you're complicit with it. And I'm saying that, Caitlyn Clark. So Angel, just hang in there, sweetie. Just know we got your back, and know that you can be a strong woman and continue to represent the way you do. And just know that, hey, this is just part of life, and that you'll grow bigger and better for this, because every burden turns out to be a blessing if you learn the lesson.
There you go. The last mic check. They don't have, battles are supposed to be in rap. But right now we got two brothers in sports media who are battling each other. And it's gotten spicy. It's gotten a little spicy, a little bit too spicy. What would you say to give me a mic check for both RG3 and Ryan Clark? If you were to sit in a room with them, what's your mic check?
I would say this is exactly what they want from us. This is exactly what they want from us. This is exactly what a part of society wants from us. A racist part of society wants from us. And I hate to see that two black men going after each other. Now, I do believe that Ryan, and I understand where he was coming from to make his point about who he could actually talk to, but I think bringing up anybody's wife, and I would tell Ryan this too. Ryan's cool. I love Ryan Bell. And you bring up somebody's wife or kid, they're not going to hear your point. They're just going to hear that you brought up my wife and kid, and she has nothing to do with this. My wife and my kids have nothing to do with this. So when you do that, that's already going to be triggering. So I would say to Ryan, man, hey, I understand your point, but let's be careful with our words about how we make our points, because every bar doesn't always hit. You know what I mean? Everybody wants the bars, and everybody wants the kudos, and it's now, so you dropping gems or whatever and all that type of stuff like that. Well, I get your point. Your message is misled. Now, I also believe that RG3 out of line, because you don't know that woman's emotions. You can't. We get caught up in the whole thing where you talk about the angry black woman or the mad black woman or whatever. That's that stereotype that they put out there. And what we're doing now is we're fighting their battle for them now, if you look at it, because this is causing dissension not only between a part of society that is using Caitlyn Clark as a weapon for their racism, but also it's also weaponizing us against one another. Now you're starting to see these brothers going after each other. Now you're starting to see black women going after black men for saying anything about Angel Reese. I do believe that as society, as journalists, as people, we can criticize one another every now and then without being called a coon, without being called Uncle Tom. We should be able to spank our own. We need to correct our own when we need to. Every time I criticize a black person doesn't make me a coon, because I speak more heavily to uplift us way more. So I should have some gravitas. I should have a little grace when it comes to that. So just because it might be a racial situation, I'm like, okay, well, I think this person's wrong. I got pushed back when I was talking about Angel Reese overreacted. I do believe she overreacted to a point. I understand her reaction, but there was an overreaction after a point if you see how it all played out. But at the same time, I also mentioned how it was being weaponized to fuel some people's racism. So they couldn't hear that point because I made the other point. You know what I'm saying? So I would say to both of them brothers, man, just be careful. You know each other already. You don't have to put everything on social media to try and make your point to throw everybody under the bus, because what we're doing is now we're just eating our own, and that's not going to help our relationships whatsoever.
I agree 1,000% with you, because it reminded me of LeBron versus Stephen A.
Yeah.
Because all it was magnet for ratings. But then going to your point, once LeBron, from what we understand and what we have been privy to, is that once LeBron heard as a father, everything else kind of shut off. So those are trigger words when you hear your wife, your kid. At that point, people go black.
The last time
now it's like,
I had a fist fight 7 years, and I'm embarrassed to even talk about it. A good friend of mine, we was doing a podcast together, and he mentioned my parenting. He mentioned me as a parent, and it triggered me because my daughter was there. My daughter was in the room at that particular time, and I don't know if you're a father, if you're a husband, or your mom or anybody in your family. There are things that just totally off limits. You don't cross that line because I don't care what your point is. There's no reason for you to bring that person up, especially if you bring it up in a public forum. Now, if you want to pull me to the side and kind of let me talk to you here.
Yeah.
With friends,
Yeah.
I get that. I understand that wholeheartedly. Okay, pull my collar if you feel like I'm doing something wrong or I'm out of line. If some people are saying this and that, I want you to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear all the time. I get that. But when you do it on a public forum to try to publicly embarrass me or my family or to get clicks or ratings and all that type of stuff like that, what is your real motivation? And that's the problem that I have. What is your real motivation when you could have called me directly? And that's the only thing I fought Ryan for, because I understand you got a show and whatnot. And I understand you need to have an opinion, but that could have been a phone call to him because you already know him. Y'all work together.
Yep.
You could have just pulled, hey, man. And I've done that. Here's the thing. I'll tell you this. I've done that several times with people, my peers. I've done that several times with Stephen A. Smith. I've done that with Rob Parker. I've done that with several people in my profession. I won't put it out online. I'm not going to put it on Twitter or whatever when I have their phone numbers. And I'm like, bruh. Exactly. When Steve, I can't remember what Stephen A. was something may have done with Angel Reese and Caitlin. I can't remember what it was. But I told Stephen, I was like, bro, you was wrong. You was out of line. And he was like, man, blah, blah. But, we can go back and forth, but I'm going to tell you how I feel because I have a personal relationship with you. I'm not going to do that and try and embarrass you or your family online. I think that's just crossing the line. And then once again, it becomes fighting words or it becomes animosity and it continues to build and build. And guess what they're doing? They're just watching. They just watch. Ooh, you hear what they're saying? You talk. Now you become the story. You can become because y'all are fighting one another and nothing's getting solved when it comes to Angel Reese, who is impacted by all of this. How are we solving the issue? Because now we're fighting and everybody's focused on that. Come on, man. We got to stop all.
We got to.
Unless you're Jason Whitlock, that fat. I can't. No, that's one person.
Don't do it.
That's one person.
Don't do it.
That's one person that I will never respect. I will never respect that man. Ever. Yeah. I don't care if I had a relation. I had his number, but I will always drag him. And it's hard to drag his fat ass, but I will always drag him any chance I get because he is a waste.
And it's so unfortunate because he's burnt the bridge to so many people. And it's like at the end of the day, man, how do you even look at yourself? But I guess you don't look at yourself because you hate who you are. You hate yourself.
Sell out. You know what? He hates it, but he loves the money that he's getting from selling his soul out more so than anything else. Some people get caught up in fame, notoriety, money, or whatever, prestige. How can somebody notice and recognize me? And he figured out this is my niche. Let me sell out my soul, admit that I'm a black man, I'm doing all this type of stuff like that, but let me go against the norm. And look, some of his points he can make, I can understand that. But at the same time, when you go so hard against it and you find reasons to just be the alternative to what the goal is in our society, then you're a sellout. You're just basically a sellout. You're doing it to sell your soul. I don't even think you believe half the stuff you're doing it, but you're saying it because it's exactly what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I don't even have anything to add to that because, hey, you said it all yourself.